Right. Got it. Thank you, Maria. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Finance Committee on July 12th to order. And read the script for the hybrid open meetings. We're using Zoom for this meeting, which allows for the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. We are requesting that members of the public provide their names for keeping accurate minutes. Attendees must register to participate. You'll join in listening mode, and I will call on people who have raised their hands in the order in which they were raised. As a preliminary matter, this is Denise Cronow, Chair of the Finance Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative, starting with Rob Giacchetti.
Here.
Chris Galacki.
Here.
Peter Schaefer.
Here.
Joanna Roche.
Here. Welcome,
you.
Rob. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Joanna. Appreciate it.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. So Susan Carmel.
Here.
Maria Basheva.
Here.
Brian Turbot.
In attendance, Madam Chair.
As
Always
always.
one, yes.
Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Finance Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting of the Finance Committee, we're convening by video conference via the Zoom app. And please note that it's being recorded and that everybody's on video conference. Please don't screen share. Anything you broadcast will be captured by the recording. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will ask the members to provide any comments, questions, or motions. Please hold it till your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when not speaking. Please speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. And every vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So that's the audio, that's the call to order, audio video announcement. May I have an approval of the agenda? Peter, you're muted.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. By roll call, Rob,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Hi.
Peter,
Aye.
Denise, I, and I will thank you for that. And before I open it for public comment, I am going to say welcome to Rob and thank you for joining us and thank you for your service already. And we look forward to working together with you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay, I'm now going to open it to public comment. And close it to public comment. There we go. So Stephen and I had coffee with Rob yesterday and explained that we very rarely have public comment. So now you get to see it live, Rob. Okay, first item on our agenda is appointing chair and vice chair. And so I will we'll do them separately. I will look for a motion or a nomination for chair, please.
I would like to make are you looking for a motion or a nomination?
A nomination, sorry, Stephen.
Okay, it's you in either case. So that's my
And I second
nomination.
it. I second it.
Thank you. Any discussions on the nomination? Anybody else leaping into the fray here? Seeing no hands raised, I will then say, okay, by roll call, Peter,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Joanna,
Hi.
Rob,
Aye.
Denise, I, and I accept the nomination and the position. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
You.
Denise.
Vice Chair, do I have a
Aye.
nomination?
I'd like to nominate Stephen Morey, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Peter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion on the nomination? Seeing none. Peter,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Hi.
Rob,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Denise, I. Thank you. Both of those are unanimous. Great. Now
Thank
we have committee assignments. So the committee assignments are, Jill is traveling, but she has indicated that she is willing to stay on Capital Committee unless somebody wants to fight her for the glory of Capital Committee. I don't see anyone raising their hand. So I would then offer that I will nominate Jill to remain on Capital Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that nomination? Nope. Okay, Rob,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Denise, I thank you. Okay, the next one is Contract Review Committee. I did ask Joanna if she would be interested to stay. She said she would, so I would nominate her to stay on Capital Review Committee. Is there a second?
Contract
Second.
Review Committee.
Contract Review, sorry, Contract Review Committee.
Second.
Thank you. Oh, Rob, sorry, I should have explained, Contract Review Committee is part of the Human Services program. And it's every year, it's Article 9 that awards a sum of money to the nonprofits of the island that are in line with the island's overall. And I've forgotten the 3 letters of what, health and human, it's, about making this place a healthier, maybe Chris remembers it. What is it? The 3 letters that it supports?
Health and Human Services?
Yeah, Health and Human Services is what sits in, but there's a program that's, anyway. It's things like Fairwinds and Small Friends and Elder Services, Meals on Wheels, those kinds of things. So
Social
those-
services.
Yeah, so those are the things that apply for grants, and then the town awards a sum of money, and then we've always had a finance committee representative. So it was myself, Jill's been on it, Stephen's been on it, and now Joanna's on it. So sorry,
Great, thank
give you a
you.
little background. All right, so Joanna's been nominated and seconded. Any further discussion on that? In which case I'm going to say, Peter,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Denise, I thank you, Joanna, being willing to serve. And then the last committee that we have a member on is the Senior Center Committee, where Peter is currently serving. And it's all about as and when we build a new senior center. So Peter, I didn't remember to ask you this when we spoke. Do you still want to serve on this committee?
Yes.
In which case I've just nominated Peter. Is there a second?
Second.
I don't care what you say. This is really elegantly done today. I'm just, cooking with gas, as they say. Any discussion about Peter's nomination? Okay, seeing none. Rob,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Denise, I thank you, Peter. Okay, good. All right, with that, I'm turning it over to you, Brian, on the review and approval of 33B transfers and reserve fund transfers.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So we have no reserve fund transfers this year. We are doing everything through 33B, and just as a refresher and a brief explanation for Rob. Statutorily under Chapter 44, Section 33B, beginning on May 1st through July 15th, with the approval of the Select Board and the Finance Committee, we can make budget transfers between budgetary line items to cover any operating deficits that may occur. We typically wait till the last warrant in July has been run before coming before both the Finance Committee and the Select Board for approval for these transfers. I'll note that immediately after this meeting here, I'll be going to the Select Board and asking for their concurrence for this tonight. So we're proposing, which is a little bit more than we've had to do in past years, but there's been a few things that have come up that we needed to get done, and some things that we hadn't anticipated as we're going through this fiscal year. We're proposing transferring $713,000, the majority of it coming from the group insurance. It was broken out in a line item known as retirees, but it's basically the entirety of the group insurance line, $708,000 from there, as well as $5,000 from the DPW operating budget into the following lines: town admin operating Essentially, professional services, $65,000. The most of this, as you know, last year or at the middle of this year, we decided to engage a public relations firm to help with some situations that were arising, as well as to develop strategies to help us on an ongoing basis, which was unplanned at that time. So we're asking to transfer $65,000 into the town operating budget to cover the majority of it, is cover that. Some of it is to also cover additional work that Raftellus has done for us, and some additional work through the comp and class study that was recently approved by the board. Public buildings, this covers all the buildings that the town owns. The utilities, $48,000. Basically, the not only gas, but utilities have increased the cost. We've also taken on some additional rental housing, which hasn't substantially increased the cost for the utilities, but is also things that we have not been previously covering. All the town clerks, the town meeting, elections, and professional services all relate to the running of both the town meeting as well as the annual town meeting, related to the options technology and the choice of having a professional sound system there. Those all are rather expensive. We have increased those in this upcoming budget to attempt to account better for those costs that we decided to continue with after using them for the outdoor annual town meeting. Debt service, interest on bands, $130,000. When we set the budget about 18 months ago, we didn't envision where we'd be at this rate environment. So the debt service carrying costs for the bands that we have out was more than we had expected it to be or anticipated to be. So we need approximately $130,000 to be able to cover that deficit in the debt service accounts. Finance professional services, $204,000. The majority of this is made up of some additional work that we have undertaken in expansion of our OpenGov platform, rolling out their procurement site, some additional support that we've procured through them. We also have decided to deploy additional Tyler technology resources with Munis that will make us a little bit more efficient in the way we process and are able to access information, which we decided to start this year after we had finished the upgrade. There's about $15,000 in training between Tyler and SAP that we hadn't anticipated. However, when our former town accountant left, out the door went the person with the majority of the experience and understanding in how to write Crystal reports. Needless to say, when we took the training, we realized that Crystal reports is probably the worst way to be doing some of this. So we are actually going to be transitioning to something that's actually within Munis, but we still needed to, for this time period, be able to access those reports. And then the additional money within there also is related to the fiscal 24 revaluation. We've expanded some of the scope of the work with that. Every 5 years, the town is required to do a full and complete revaluation of the entire town. We typically started in fiscal 23, completed in time for the fiscal 24 tax rate. So with the expansion of some professional services related to personal property and commercial property, we need some additional money in there, all totaling $204,000. Legal, general services, $118,000. There's been just a substantial amount of additional legal work that's been needed to be done, whether it's negotiations that are ongoing or just general legal matters that crop up. We generally try to maintain that within a $400,000 limit, knowing that at various times we may have additional requirements that come up. We did have, as everybody's well aware, we had a cyber incident. Some of the costs that were related to that cyber incident were allocated into the town's legal budget when we're actively pursuing recoupment of insurance, but most likely that would not be received in time to offset the deficit. Street lighting, utilities. This is the street lighting account for all the street lights that the town maintains. We've also started to undertake a program to start repairing them. The majority of these costs are partially an increase in the utility costs with the amount of streetlights that we have, but also additional maintenance costs for the heads and posts for the ones that the town actually owns. Park and Rec's professional services, $48,000. This is solely related to not only the irrigation contract, but the maintenance contract for the landscaping and maintenance and upkeep of the playing fields that we have. Last year, when we started, we had put a budget in there, I think of about 200,000 or 250,000. All told, the contracts came in closer to 300,000. We did somewhat go into that budget knowing that this may have needed a transfer. I certainly think that the work that the vendors have done have certainly helped maintain the parks and the playing fields and through the irrigation and the maintenance of them in a much better, kept them in a better state. And then CPC operating, we put this in because you know, they've run a little bit short. They actually moved and transitioned to a new lease. They moved out of the Coffin Street School into down by the Thai House, which came with a slightly increased rent of about, all told, annualized about $5,000 additional dollars. So we agreed in discussion with the CPC chair, Ken Bogram, to cover that for them, which all those categories there, the requested increases make up the $713,000.
Thank you, Brian. And questions?
Brian?
Yeah.
How are we so lucky to have a 17% decrease in the insurance cost?
We were so lucky to have a 17% decrease because our rate, which was projected at about 12.5%, actually came in at about 5% last year, which made up the majority of it. And then you have transitions when people retire and age into Medicare. They then go on to a substantially lower plan. And we have had transitions, obviously, in staffing or changes in staffing's needs for health insurance, but also probably about 5 to 6% of that entirety of the decrease, Peter, is related to the substantial number of open positions that we currently have.
Got it.
Do you budget for insurance purposes on a fully occupied or a fully hired?
We budget on everything that we know based on the current payroll, plus a large majority of the open positions, not 100%, but probably close to 85 to 90% of them, knowing that some of them may be hired at a different rate. So we try to balance that as best we can, but we do budget close to fully staffed to ensure that we have the coverage.
Thank you. Chris?
Sure. Brian, you mentioned that some of the utility cost was tied to additional leases. Were the leases themselves already in the budget?
No, they weren't, but they were covered through the housing office. So some of the additional houses that we leased over the year, we also, as you remember, we purchased some buildings that we purchased the Greenhound building, which we've taken on all those costs as well, which are not substantial, but all told, they add up.
So sorry, you said the leases were covered by the housing office? Is that
Yeah, it's because they're leases of houses that we're you know, so for an example, we're paying the Affordable Housing Trust and we're paying the utility costs for any of the properties that they've acquired that we're utilizing.
Oh, okay. So there are Affordable Housing Trust properties that are housing
Yes,
town employees?
Yes, and we're covering all the costs associated with those. And there was an increase in electric cost and usage for some of the buildings too.
Got it, thanks. And then on the CPC, you mentioned that's the delta in the lease. Did CPC office expenses get covered by CPC funding typically?
They all do. Yes, they typically do, but they did change the lease, and that was something that they have been trying to do. And were able to get out of that and move into the new location, and that did come with a slightly increased cost that they were not able to cover through their administrative allocation this year. It is covered in the next year, though.
Yeah,
It
that's
is
fine. I
covered
just
next
didn't
year.
know
Yep.
if they typically the sort of bolus of it is covered by that.
It's supposed to be, Chris, but we did agree to help them with
Yep,
that.
no, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions for Brian? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? In which case, roll calls. Peter,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Rob.
Aye.
Denise, aye. That passes unanimously. And Brian, on to the next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the next one that we have is actually only one this year, which is good. It's solid waste. We'd originally had a budget of $548,000 for salaries. As most of you are aware, we are without a recycling coordinator. We were without the solid waste manager for a great majority of this year. So we're asking to transfer from that line item, 180,000 into the professional services line, increase that by 180,000. The vast majority of this is increased consulting and legal costs. As majority of the committee is aware, We have been working extensively with what's known as a long-term solid waste planning group, an internal group, because our contract with Waste Options will be expiring in 2025, and this is a long, arduous process to get to the new contract. We've had substantial internal meetings and meetings with Waste Options, which have required additional legal costs associated with that, both for KP Law and consulting costs for George Aronson and helping guide us through that process and representing us and being part of those discussions. So.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions? In which case, may I have a motion?
Motion
So
to
moved.
accept.
A second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Nope. Okay. Peter,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Denise, I. Those pass unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Madam
the
Chair.
date of thank you, Brian. The date of our next meeting is Tuesday, September 12th. At 4 p.m. It is the review of the preliminary fiscal year 25 general fund budget projection. So that's the main agenda item for that meeting. And just to kind of give you a heads up on this schedule for the special town meeting and our reviews. So we will have on Thursday, September 21st at 4 p.m. We'll have a public hearing on those articles that are being presented. I think I counted up, and Brian, please correct me, but I believe it's something like this. I had 22 or 28 sticking in my head in terms of what's going to be on the agenda for the STM that they showed at the select board a few weeks ago. In any case, less than 30.
I think it is between 22 and 28. I think the town manager, certainly myself and the town manager have been in discussions about some of them and whether we want to pursue them, but I think that will be finalized in the coming weeks. But it is somewhere between 22 and 28.
And of those 4 are citizen warrant articles, and they're all sewer. So there's nothing else on the agenda. The other ones the ones that's going to get the most discussion, as we well know, as Peter well knows, will be the short-term rental articles that are presented by the select board and potentially the planning board. So those are the ones that I expect will take most of the time. On Tuesday, September 26th at 4 p.m., we have another review of the warrant articles, and that's going to be fully remote. The 21st is in person at the community room. And then the 28th, we're still negotiating location. If it's not the community room, it'll be fully remote for the simple reason that I expect a lot of discussion in respect of the short-term rental articles. And I think trying to do that in the trailer would be just hard.
No fun?
Hard, I think would be my answer.
Sorry,
So
Madam Chair, that was Thursday, the 28th. Was that the?
there's Thursday, the 28th, we're still trying to get the community room, Chris. If we don't, it'll be fully remote.
Got it.
And we
Thank you.
only have those 3 meetings as of now for reviewing articles and making our motions or making our recommendations.
Madam
And
Chair, we have been talking about some supplemental appropriations, which we're still finalizing.
Yeah.
With the intent of, as an example, we may need more money for the seasonal housing that we have the money allocated for on Waite Drive.
okay,
The dormitory style housing right now, it's expected to be a modular procurement. The bid will be going out sometime in the middle of August with a return date right around the end of September, which would give us time to present a supplemental to Capcom first, because we certainly recognize that the FinCom would prefer that the Capcom have reviewed it and made a recommendation first. So there's the possibility that we would need 1 meeting in October potentially to do technical amendments for supplemental funding. So just so you're aware for some of the financial articles.
okay, thank you, Brian. And I had a brief chat with Libby yesterday too, that potentially we may not be able to get this done in 3 meetings, just depends on the length of discussion. So if we need to add another meeting in to be able to have time to make our recommendations, we will, but it would obviously be between September 28th and the very beginning of October. The special town meeting is Tuesday, November 7th, starting at 5 p.m. and it has to be 1 night. So we will be there until it's done, just to give everybody a heads up. don't make dinner plans is where I'm going with this. So-
I might bring a blanket with me or something to keep warm.
If you show up in your onesie, Brian, we're gonna have to have a chat. So, yeah. So that's the outlook. We'll send, Maria will obviously keep us all updated as magnificently as she always does, in terms of all this organization as we go forward. But that's just to kind of give you a heads up. So September 12th is our next meeting. And then after that, the heavy lifting starts at the end of September for a special town meeting. And then for annual town meeting, it starts as usual, mid-December with our first public hearing on whatever's going to be in the warrant for annual town meeting. So, and then January and February, as you know, and early March are action packed. Okay. Is there any other business?
Nope.
Okey dokey. Well, with that, thank you everyone. May I have a motion to adjourn
So moved.
Moved.
in a second?
Second.
Aye.
There we go. All right, Joanna's leapt into the void here. Joanna, aye. Stephen,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Rob.
Aye.
Okay, Denise, aye. Thank you all. Nice to see you and have a great rest of your summer. Thanks, Susan.
too.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Maria.
Thank you, everyone.